welcome to a new Juju live session on one of my favorite themes, the Reda dance style, Mahmoud Reda and the legacy he left for all of us lovers of Egyptian dance. In this live Q&A, and I'm going to try to keep it short because there's a fascinating event coming very soon. In a second, I'm going to tell you about it. I am going to answer some of the most frequent and interesting questions around the Reda dance style, the dance style that Mahmoud Reda, the father of Egyptian folklore, created and left for all of us to enjoy. For the ones who don't know me yet, my name is Joana Saahirah. I'm a world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, choreographer, and author. And I'm also the creator of the pioneering Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, delivering authentic Egyptian dance, personal discovery, and empowerment. I am thrilled to be here with you. If you're passing by and if you want to drop your questions, please do so. Drop your questions around Mahmoud Reda, the Reda Troupe, the Reda style in the comments area below this live session, and I will be glad to answer. And now, without further ado, I am going to go through the questions I have selected. There are many more, and I won't be so deep into the answers because on the 18th of March, the birthday of Mahmoud, I am going to host a free live event celebrating Mahmoud Reda, and we're gonna go deeper on his legacy in that event. But for now, I'm gonna launch the theme and I'm gonna give you some lights over one of the most interesting subjects in the Egyptian dance history and in our field, as it is nowadays, okay? So welcome everybody, and here we go. Drop by and say hi if you're watching and let me know how you're doing. If you have tried the Reda style, if you have studied it, if you have watched it, let me know your opinion about it, your honest opinion. Sometimes dancers refrain from sharing their opinion because they know how close I was to Mahmoud and they're afraid to, or don't be afraid. You are free to have your opinion and to have your experience. I may agree, I may disagree. I'm always going to be honest with you, okay? But I like to know what is your experience of the Reda style, okay? If you've tried it, if you've seen it, if you like it, you don't like it, you see the value in it, you see the genius in it, let me know all about it in the comments to this live, okay? Now, let's go into the questions. And sorry, guys, every once in a while, I'm going to have to do this because I'm reading them from my notes, okay? So the first question is an introduction, which is, who is Mahmoud Reda, the creator of the so-called Reda style, right? Because understanding Reda style has necessarily to include the understanding or the knowledge of who Mahmoud Reda was, because he's the creator of the dance style. He's the creative genius behind this style. So knowing the man and knowing the artist is halfway to understanding the style he has left for us, okay? So who is Mahmoud Reda? Mahmoud Reda is fairly considered the father of Egyptian folklore, is also the creative force behind the iconic Reda troupe, responsible for bringing the Egyptian folklore not only to the best stages of Egypt, but to the best, most prestigious stages of the world. He brought Egyptian folklore not only to the stage, but to a level of fame, understanding, and respect that nobody before him or from the moment he existed ever did. So there is something important to understand, is that what Mahmoud did for Egyptian folklore has never been done before he existed or after he existed. Other troupes existed after the Reda troupe, and other teachers and artists have worked with Egyptian folklore ever since. Some of them copies of Mahmoud, some of them kind of original, but none of them has done the service that Mahmoud Reda did to the history of Egyptian folklore and therefore to the history of Egyptian dance. So this is the first thing you got to understand about Mahmoud Reda. It's the importance of his research and his work in the history of Egyptian dance. From the moment Mahmoud Reda brought Egyptian folkloric dance styles to the stage, Egyptians could see themselves on the stage. And I don't mean Egyptians from Cairo or from Alexandria. I mean Egyptians from all over Egypt, from Nubia, from the desert, from Port Said, from the Saidi area. Egyptians could see themselves in all their differences and regional flavors in Mahmoud's work. And they could see themselves in a dignified, beautiful, artistic, elevated way. That had never been done. Bringing Egyptian folklore to this level of artistry and this level of respect had never been done. And let me repeat it, it was never done, not before Mahmoud and not after Mahmoud. So there is a respect that all of us Egyptian dance lovers must pay to this man and what he left for us. Things I want you to know about Mahmoud. Another thing is that he was a well-educated Egyptian boy. First of all, he studied to be a gymnast, not only a dancer. What you see in the Reda dance style is a cocktail of the influences that he gathered as he was growing up and also as a young man, dancing ballet, doing tap dance, jazz, modern dance, loving the musicals like Singing in the Rain and all the musicals from Fred Astaire, Sid Charisse, Gene Kelly. You know, Mahmoud was an eclectic, curious mind that was not satisfied with just Egyptian dance, although that was his base and that was the raw material he used for the creation of his style. But he brought all those influences, the acrobat skills that he had, the gymnastic, the agility, the footwork, the influences from different dance styles and different musical styles. He brought all of that to what became known as the Reda style and to the repertoire of the Reda troupe. Okay. Let me see who is here. Hi, Jamila. Hi, Jihan. Hello. How are you guys? Feel welcome to drop your comments, okay? Or your perspective on the Reda style. Then again, okay? If you've tried it, let me know. So Mahmoud is considered, as I've already mentioned, the father of Egyptian folklore. He was always a pioneer. He was, until his 80s, an eager student, someone who was always producing, always creating, never satisfied. He was a humble and confident soul and an artist who loved Egyptian dance and Egyptians more than any other artist I've ever known. I was privileged to have studied with him and worked with him throughout the 8 years I was living and performing in Egypt. I started teaching with Mahmoud. The first time I taught abroad outside of Egypt, I did so with Mahmoud. I was teaching his work and then I was teaching my own work. So a lot of what I do and my understanding of dance and of life is deeply connected to Mahmoud and his legacy. Okay, so what else do I have here for you? And by the way, guys, on the 18th of March, don't forget, there will be a celebration of Mahmoud Reda, okay? At the end of this live session, I'm going to tell you more about it. So what is the Reda dance style and its main characteristics? What is the Reda dance style and its main characteristics? Okay, so the Reda dance style, as I've already mentioned, was or is a dance style created by Mahmoud Reda. This is why it's called the Reda dance style. The style that the Reda troupe used and still uses, as far as I know. I was with Mahmoud in several rehearsals of the current Reda troupe while he was alive. And what I watched was a repetition of the style that he had created more than 50 years ago. So when we talk about the original Reda troupe, where you have some famous teachers like Rakia Hassan. She was part of the original Reda troupe, like Mr. Mo Gedawi. Dr. Mogedawi was also a dancer of the Reda troupe, a student of Mahmoud Reda, like Aida Noor, a beautiful dancer and teacher. There are so many master teachers that people love and respect that were actually students of Mahmoud, and they were directed by Mahmoud and trained in the Reda style. Okay, so the Reda style was created by Mahmoud for the Reda troupe, but I do believe that it goes way beyond the Reda troupe. For dancers like me and you, probably. Okay, so I'm not a Reda troupe dancer. I never wanted to be a Reda troupe dancer. That was not my goal, not my dream. I do not teach Reda style full time as many dancers do. And some of the dancers who studied with Mahmoud chose to make their style Mahmoud style. That's not me. Although I love and respect Reda style, and although a lot of what I do comes from there, I've created my own style because I'm an artist. I'm not a copycat. So I believe that the best way to honor my mentor, my dear friend, is not to copy his work and to pretend I'm a Reda dancer. It's to be myself, because that's what I learned from him, that I was talented, creative, and courageous enough to create my own style. So the master himself reminded me of that. And I keep on reminding that to all of my students. Okay. So the Reda style is a style that is characterized by different things. Okay. And once again, I'm not going to go so deep into it today because we're going to have the chance to go deeper into the characteristics of Reda style, but I will give you a glimpse of it. Okay, so the first thing is what I've already mentioned. It's the cocktail of influences that you see in this style. Okay, so instead of having pure Egyptian folklore or pure Raqs al-Sharqi, we have the pure Egyptian folklore or the pure Raqs al-Sharqi, Oriental dance, Baladi dance, Raqs al-Baladi, whatever you may like to call it, mixed with elements from Mahmoud's eclectic curriculum. So that means influences from classical ballet, influences from tap dance, influences from modern jazz dance, sometimes even influences from tango. Mahmoud was a lover of many dance styles. He was a lover of dance, period. So his style is a beautiful example of the universality of the artist. Although the core is Egyptian, quintessentially Egyptian, he created something that nobody else managed to create ever since in the Egyptian dance field, which is to create a modern language from a traditional ancient language or languages. So aside from these influences from different dance styles, we also have beautiful arms, beautiful hands, very polished, very balletic. We have a lot of traveling steps. We have intricate, creative, out-of-the-box footwork. We have original patterns on the stage or on your dance space. I mean, playing with direction, playing with angles, playing with levels, playing with shapes, and drawing different patterns on stage or on your dance space. A lot of the skills actually that I use in my style. So that only comes to prove that I've been heavily influenced by the Reda style, although I do not teach exclusively Reda style. I also teach Reda style, but that's not what I'm known for. Okay, so we have all of those technical assets that characterize Reda style. We also have an elegance, a beauty, a polishment, and a poetry, and the level of subtlety that you don't usually see in other styles. You don't usually see in regular Raqs al-Sharqi, what people call belly dance, and you certainly don't usually see in other people doing folklore. Mahmoud was a lover of beauty, and he was a lover of elegance. So his style reflects that. You will never see a Reda style choreography or combination that is not elegant, subtle, beautiful, feminine, poetic, because that's not Mahmoud. That's not who he was. So he could not create something that was not him. you know, another characteristic of the Reda style has to do with the ability to tell a story, which was a very dear subject to Mahmoud, and obviously something he had to care for because his style was developed for the Reda troupe. So if you think about the Reda troupe, you think about big stages, big groups of dances. You also think about the movies of the Reda troupe, the movies they did together with the music of Ali Ismail, beautiful music soundtrack. You think about venues or contexts where a story had to be told. So there is this sense of doing something that is meaningful, not moving for the sake of moving, but actually telling a story with your movement, with your steps, being expressive, being creative, being clear in your message. What is the story that you're telling me, right? Also, the Reda style is very rich in terms of characters, okay? Because once again, it was a style developed for the troupe initially, right? So we had specific characters that are famous in Egypt. The man who sells the drinks in the street, the man who sells the old stuff, the robabekia, it's called robabekia in the street. There are specific characters in Egyptian identity, in Egyptian life, that Mahmoud loved, embraced, and used. So his style also reflects the need to create different characters inside of storylines, inside of storytelling. Now, even if you are not a Reda troupe dancer, and as I've already said, I'm not one and I never wanted to be one, you have a lot to gain from this style because it is super rich and expensive. But I will tell you more about the benefits of the Reda style in a little second, okay? Let me just see if you're sharing a question or not, if you're okay. Once again, drop a comment if you're passing by. Hi, Muhammad, ازيك? Alhamdulillah, tamam. Muhammad is saying, you have a very unique style. Thank you, Muhammad. Jamila asks, in which year did he compete as a gymnast in the World Olympics? It was in the 50s. It was in the 50s. I did not memorize the year. But if you go on Google and you ask Google, what was the year Mahmoud competed as a gymnast in the Olympics, you will have it. Okay, it's in the 50s. What else? Jihan says, the Reda techniques that I learned from the 2 courses you offered have truly expanded my dance vocabulary and made my choreographies much more interesting, including my veil work. Beautiful, Jihan. So Jihan is sharing something that I was about to share with you guys, which is, why should you study this style, right? What is the benefit? And once again, it's all about expansion. It doesn't mean you're gonna be a Reda style dancer or you're only gonna do Reda style. I'm an example of a dancer, then again, who did her own thing. I have my own style. I have my teaching method. Although I taught with Mahmoud for a long time, I teach very differently from the way he was teaching. Of course, I drank from his wisdom and maturity and experience and sensibility, but I have my own thing, right? But I've grown so much as a dancer, as a teacher, as a choreographer, as a person from studying his style. So even if you do not want to be a Reda style dancer, which most of us will not want to, why would you, right? It's something very specific. You would still need to learn Reda style in order to become a better Oriental dancer, period. Okay. And if you want to know more details about this, then again, I will invite you to stay until the end and check the event that I'm going to promote. It's going to be free for everybody. It's a celebration on Mahmoud's legacy. And in that event, I'm going to go deeper into the benefits of the Reda style. Okay. Now, are you a Reda dancer? Okay, this is another question I repeat again and again and again. although I don't dance like a Reda dancer at all, people know of my association with Mahmoud. So they keep asking me, are you a Reda dancer? Were you a Reda dancer? Guys, I was never a Reda dancer. I was in Egypt not working in the Reda troupe at all. The only contact I had with the Reda troupe was rehearsals that I asked Mahmoud to take me to. That's it. Every once in a while, I would ask him and, be a pain in the neck and tell him, Mahmoud, take me to the rehearsal in Balloon Theater. I'm not sure if they're still doing the rehearsals at Balloon Theater. It's a famous theater in Doki, in downtown Cairo, and Mahmoud would be so kind to take me and to watch the rehearsals and sometimes participate. So I would rehearse with the troupe as well, for me, for pleasure, for fun, for practice. But I never worked in the Reda troupe, and I never wanted to work in the Reda troupe. I was in Egypt working in my own show with my own orchestra, my own team, my own program, my own choreographies. And at the same time, I was teaching and choreographing with Mahmoud. So although I am not a Reda dancer, I am a Reda style lover, and I am forever in debt to Mahmoud Reda for so many things I am going to share, and so many things that I've never shared, for his friendship, for his support, for his incredible patience with me. you know so there are many ways in which I consider myself a Reda dancer, at least in my heart, but I never wanted to work with a Reda troupe or be a Reda troupe dancer. I had no time for it, actually. I was busy doing something else and building my own name, and building my own repertoire and style and method and everything. Okay. What else? Why every dancer should learn the Reda style? So I'm going to share two reasons, just two reasons. There are many more. First of all, I don't believe in shoulds, right? As a dancer, you have the freedom to decide what you want and what you don't want. Okay, there are no obligations, only invitations. This is something I tell my students all the time. They know it. You are never forced. You are never under the premise of should. You are invited if you want to evolve, and if you don't want to evolve, it's fine. It's your choice. All of us decide to move forward or not, all the time. What are the benefits, right? Why should you, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, why should you study Reda style? First of all, as I've already mentioned, because it expands you as a dancer. It gives you more vocabulary. It gives you loads of footwork. In fact, at our school, we have two courses on Reda style. One of them, it's only about footwork. Only about footwork, because that's so rich in the Reda style. A lot of traveling steps, a lot of interesting transitions, the playfulness with the space, playfulness with directions, with angles. There is so much that technically you earn by studying the Reda style. So much. That's one of the reasons. You become a better dancer. You have more tools. You are more skilled. You are more educated as a dancer, okay? The second reason for now that I believe that every dancer should learn Reda style, it's because it expands your mind. It opens your mind to new creative possibilities. And this is deeply connected with the person behind the style. Once again, guys, and forgive me if I'm always making this relationship, but because I knew Mahmoud so well, it's impossible for me not to see him in his style, because knowing him, it is easier to understand why he did things the way he did. Okay, so Mahmoud was very open-minded. He was a curious person. He was always asking, as a creator, how can I do this differently? How can I try a different solution? How can I make this step or make this movement in a way that I have not tried before? What if we do it this way? What if we do it that way? What if we go down instead of going up like everybody else? What if we go slow when the music is really fast? He was always asking interesting questions, questions that opened his mind, and questions that opened my mind as his student, and later on co-worker, partner in crime. Okay, so one of the side products of studying Reda style with someone who actually knows Reda style, not with someone who has memorized Reda steps, which is different from knowing Reda style. Okay, knowing Reda style is also knowing the mentality behind the style. Okay, and that mentality is an invitation to open our mind, open our hearts, open our minds, to be humble and confident in the quest for something different, in the quest for evolution, in the quest for trying new things, independently of them working or not. Okay, it's the creative child spirit of the great artists of all time. That's what Mahmoud had, and that's one thing that you gain if you learn Reda dance style from someone who actually understands the style, not just from someone who has memorized some steps and combos and calls themselves a Reda style teacher. That's a different thing. Okay, so the expansion of your skills as a dancer and your vocabulary as a dancer, and also the opening of your mind. I would say those are two of the several benefits that every dancer will reap from studying this style. Okay, for more information, you already know that I'm going to invite you for the 18th of March. It's Mahmoud's birthday, 18th of March. Let me see, guys. Let me see what you are sharing. You're saying hi, Kay. Hi, Irene. Hello. Okay, let's go forward with the questions I have gathered here. Okay, how was Mahmoud Reda as a creator? How was Mahmoud Reda as a creator? I love this question. And when people send me this question and this kind of more personal question, I know that they're referring to my work with Mahmoud, because one thing is to study with him privately, as I did all those years. Another thing is working with him, so co-creating with him, choreographing with him, or having me choreograph my own pieces with him by my side, helping me, coordinating me, guiding me. So I was privileged, and I'm forever grateful for the opportunity of having known Mahmoud in his intimacy, in his intimate creative universe. How was he as a creator? I saw him as a child. You know, the image that pops into my mind whenever I think of Mahmoud Reda as a creator and the things that he did with his style, the style that he created, I think of a child, an innocent, pure, curious, enthusiastic, passionate child. So that's what he was as a creator. As I mentioned, always asking, how can we do this differently? How can we do it better? How can we do it this way or that way so that we can do something that is exciting for us? It's not exciting for the audience even. It has to be exciting for you. This is something I learned while studying and working with them, is that so many of us, and myself included, for a long time, I produced to impress my audience. You know, as a professional dancer who was at the time already working, because all the years I was working with Mahmoud, I was also working with my orchestra in Egypt. So I was full-on professional dancer. I was not a beginner dropping by every once in a while. I had a name. I had my name in the market. I was dancing every night with my team, my orchestra. I had technicians, I had assistants, the whole shebang. So, of course, there was a pressure on my back to deliver, right? And I remember that initially I did things in order to prove that I was good enough to be there, and I was good enough to be embraced by Egyptian audiences, and I was good enough to sign a contract and another contract and another contract in Egypt. I was good enough to have the orchestra of my dreams. I was so insecure and so by myself, you know, that I felt the pressure of having to perform to prove something to people. From the moment I started to work with Mahmoud, I realized that although the pressure to deliver is there, if you are a professional dancer, let's not lie about it. It's always there. You have to deliver something of quality. May that be an audience in Egypt or in a theater in China or wherever, you always need to deliver value. And that's a pressure on the dancer's back for sure. But Mahmoud taught me through his own example that the first and only person I had to please was myself. So as a creator, he was a child, a thirsty, curious, open child, and he was someone who did it for himself. So the question was not, how can I do something that is surprising for people? The question was, how can we do something interesting for us? How can you do something creatively stimulating for yourself? Not for your audience. Your audience will enjoy if they enjoy it. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people ignore it, some people hate you because you're great, some people hate you because they hate you, some people love you, some people just are totally indifferent. I tell this to my students also very frequently. You cannot control people's reaction to what you do, but you can control what you do, right? And why you're doing it. So Mahmoud as a creator was someone who loved to create, to surprise himself and to please himself. At the end of a choreography, looking at a job well done and saying, you know what, this is superb. Congratulations, Mahmoud. Alf Mabruk. That was nice. And then the way people received it was another subject, something that did not interfere directly in the creative process. Okay. And this is something that you don't see a lot nowadays. And when I work with professional dancers at Joana Saahirah's online dance school or in my private coaching programs, for instance, especially in my private coaching programs, because I have the one-on-one experience with dancers, and I have a few dancers who are professionals and are already working in the market. I rarely see a dancer who does it for herself or for himself. Rarely. We are usually hooked up on what will cause a stir, what will bring me followers, what will bring me the #1 title, what will please people, what will impress people. And in that pressure to please the other, we forget to please ourselves. And we forget that pleasing ourselves and being excited with the creative process is a key for creativity and for out-of-the-box original work. Okay? So I would say that's how Mahmoud was as a creator. A beautiful, beautiful child, curious, always passionate, enthusiastic, but also someone who did it for himself, for his own pleasure, for his own pride in himself. Okay, super important to remember that. What else? I have one more question that I have saved. And once again, last call, guys. If you have questions about the Reda style, this is the moment when you share them. Okay. What have I gained as a dancer from studying the Reda style from the hands of Mahmoud Reda? Okay, what have I gained? So I'm not going to tell you all about it today because we would not leave. I would need another hour. And this is a short Juju live session to excite you and inspire you. But I'm going to give you a few of the gifts that I've received from studying Reda style. So there is an important thing, which is I did not study Reda style from a secondary dancer. I studied from Mahmoud himself. And I studied it in a private context. That makes a huge difference, right? Because it was a one-on-one work every day, year after year, or barely every day, almost every day. At first, I studied with Mahmoud in a workshop, like most dancers, in Ahlan wa Sahlan Festival, at a time where he was still teaching in Ahlan wa Sahlan. And when I moved to Cairo, and I was launching my first show, I wanted to study folklore so that I would have a bigger repertoire, a longer, more varied repertoire in my show. For the first time in my life, I had a 1 hour show on my back several times per night. And I knew that I would be in trouble if I was not very eclectic, if I did not know different folkloric styles. I mean, would I be dancing Kulsum for an entire hour or what? It would be so boring, unidimensional. So I went to Mahmoud, to his studio initially to study folklore because I wanted to have that repertoire in my show in Cairo. I was already under contract. I was already performing. So it had to be done now. Like I had no time, you know. And that's when our friendship and our partnership began because he promised me that he would teach me everything he knew. I just had to show up. He did not charge me for any class ever, ever. And I felt like I was in a dream. I couldn't believe that man was offering his time and expertise to me just because. I couldn't believe it, but he did. So the way I learned the Reda style was one-on-one with Mahmoud in his studio, working almost every day, usually working on a particular style that I wanted to include in my show. And later on, working on pieces that I was going to learn to teach with him in Egypt and abroad. Okay, so this is the kind of depth that I am lucky to have experienced. At the time, I did not realize how precious that was. I just knew that I loved him so much, and he was my best friend, not only my mentor, my main teacher, but he was also my best friend, my supporter, my granddad, a loving presence in my life, and a life that was not easy, as you can imagine, in Egypt. And the biggest gifts I got from his style and his teaching, aside from the dance expertise, from the dance knowledge in Egyptian folklore, I can teach every style of Egyptian folklore because of him. I have a wide range of vocabulary and skills because of him. I mean, all the obvious gifts aside, I have to say that the biggest gift that studying Reda style has represented, has been for me, is the ability to explore. As I've already mentioned, it's the ability to explore creatively and also discipline, work ethic. Another thing that nowadays I find most dancers don't have, okay? Even professional dancers. So the ethic of work, the ethic of practice, a pride in what you are doing, the humbleness of knowing that no matter how talented you are, you always have to work on your craft. That awareness, those 2 feet on the floor, that maturity, that sensibility of understanding that talent does not equal the right to be lazy. Okay, so the discipline, the work ethic, the creativity, the sensibility, the elegance, and of course, above everything, respect for the dance and respect for myself as a dancer. This is something that I already had before I met Mahmoud, but once I started to work with Mahmoud and to feel and to see how he approached dance and how he saw dancers, how he saw himself as a dancer, I realized that I had to develop self-respect on a higher level. I had to be proud of my profession and I had to honor my profession. I had to deliver my best quality. I had to work with excellence. I had to create with excellence. I had to elevate myself and my fellow dancers and the field I've chosen for myself. Those have been some of the gifts that the Reda style and learning from Mahmoud Reda have represented for me, the gifts that I have received. Okay. Now, if we don't have any more question for now about the Reda style, I have an invitation for you. Okay. I have an invitation for you. And that invitation is, we are doing a free live and recorded event called Celebrating Mahmoud Reda. It's going to happen next Saturday, the 18th of March at 3 p.m. Lisbon/London local time at Joana Saahirah's World. Okay, it is free, it is live and recorded, which means you can join, and then if you cannot be with us live, you can enjoy the replay. Okay, and the participants will get access to bonus resources related with the Reda Troupe, the Reda style, Mahmoud Reda, and they will also receive a session where they're going to know more about what was the Reda style, what was Mahmoud's wisdom, ethic of work, creativity rules, and so many precious things that I was privileged to receive directly from him, and that now I am honored to share with you. Okay, so this is for dancers of all levels. It is for modern dancers, more classical, traditionalist dancers, folkloric dancers. You know, whoever loves Egyptian dance will benefit from this event. And of course, this is a gathering of love to celebrate one of the biggest names in the history of Egyptian dance. This is a question of respecting the ones who came before us and the ones who left a mark, and who left not only a mark, but a glimpse of genius and evolution into the area, into the market, into the art that we claim to love. I believe that respecting ourselves as artists and celebrating ourselves is not possible if you don't respect and celebrate the ones who came before you. It's very important to honor the teachers who made it possible for you to be here right now. I wouldn't be here right now doing what I do the way I do if it wasn't for Mahmoud Reda. That is absolutely 100% sure. So I have to honor the ones who made it possible for me, the ones who so generously shared their knowledge, their expertise, their know-how, their talent, their brain, their heart with me. So come along and celebrate Mahmoud Reda on the 18th of March. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close this session and I'm going to share the link to the event where you can subscribe, because you have to save your spot, in the comments below this video. Okay, so you're gonna find the link for the subscription in the free event celebrating Mahmoud Reda in the comments to this video. Join me for an amazing free live celebration of one of the most interesting figures of Egyptian dance history, the father of Egyptian folklore, and a dear, beautiful grandfather and friend that made me the dancer and the person I am today. I'm inviting you to join me, okay? Without further ado, I'm going to say see you soon. See you soon, guys. Thank you for being here live. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Jihan. Thank you, Jamila. Thank you, Star. Hello. Jamila says, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up. That's a quote by Pablo Picasso. Absolutely, Jamila. And Mahmoud was the embodiment of that quote. He was a live example of that quote. Absolutely. On the 18th of March, you will understand more about it. I will tell you more about it, okay? My dears, a big, big kiss. Save your spot at the celebration for Mahmoud Reda right now. In a second, you're going to have the link right here below the video, okay? Much, much love, and I will be seeing you soon, okay? My kiss. Mwah.